Say hello to the night, lost in the shadows. Say hello to the night, lost in the loneliness. Say hello to the night, lost in the shadows. No one knows. Hey guys, welcome back to some more reviews. And as you guys can probably tell, today I'm reviewing the classic vampire film, The Lost Boys. I am HorrorBoy465, aka Nate Murphy, the Explorer of Horror here. Welcome back to some more reviews. And today we're reviewing The Lost Boys. Came out in 1987, gets a 7.2 on IMDb. And originally this was not supposed to be a rated R horror vampire film. It was supposed to be more of a PG sort of kid film. I know that Richard Donner was involved in the script. I think he was. I believe he was involved. Yeah, a Richard Donner production. So I do believe that he wanted this to be more of a. The original script was more of an original, like the original script was more of a group of kids and teenagers. And it was, I think, PG, and there was a lot more like lighthearted things in that script. But as the script sort of went along and the movie started getting the production and stuff like that, they decided to make it more of a teenage teenage vampire movie. My bad, guys. Got the zombie week on. I got the Week of the Dead on my mind, so we're talking about zombie movies in like a couple weeks. But they decided to make it a teenage vampire horror movie, and it's rated R, pretty bloody, not really gory, but pretty bloody. And it became more of this hip sort of vampire film. And I don't think that before this movie came out, there wasn't really a hip vampire movie. And then after this, you got sort of like I would say Interview with the Vampire is one of those '90s vampire movies, tried to be hip. Queen of the Damned, which is part of a DVD pack over here, which has the sequels to The Lost Boys. That has Lost Boys, Lost Boys the Tribe, and Lost Boys the Third, as well as Queen of the Damned. Queen of the Damned also is a very hip vampire movie, which I really enjoyed. But I do believe this is the first vampire movie that actually was made for teenagers, had 80s music in it, and made it very, very hip to watch. And I mean, The Lost Boys is a classic. I mean, what more can I say about The Lost Boys? Like I said, it was meant to be more of a kid film, but as the film was getting set into place and getting ready to get shot, they decided to make it a vampire movie that was based around teenagers. And the soundtrack to this movie is one of the things I love about this film, because I love I would say every song in this soundtrack I really enjoy. Of course, you got Lost in the Shadows. My favorite song on this soundtrack used to be Cry Little Sister, but I changed my mind to Lost in the Shadows. It's just a great song. I love that song. I still love Cry Little Sister, but I really prefer the version in the sequels more of Cry Little Sister. Lost Boys 2 and the Thirst. I would prefer that version a little bit more. It's more of a rock version. I believe it was made by Aiden or something like that, or Atayu. Can't remember the name of the band, but I know I've heard a couple of their songs, but it was more of a rock song, so I really, more of like a hard, not really hardcore rock, but it was much more of a different sounding version of Cry Little Sister. But I really enjoyed that version a little bit more, but I still enjoyed this '80s version of Cry Little Sister. Cry little sister, call to your brother, cry little sister. And the movie also other cool songs. I mean, you got that song, "People Are Strange When You're a Stranger." I swear I heard that song before I seen this movie, like on the radio or on a different movie. I couldn't remember, but I do remember hearing that song on like before I seen this movie. "People Are Strange." I think I heard that song, before I seen this movie. And you've also got "I Still Believe," dun, 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 dun. And then a lot of freaking cool songs, man. I love the music to this movie, and that's one of the best part about the movie. Also, the acting performances by Jason Patric and Corey Haim. For rest in peace of Corey Haim, as well as Corey Feldman. You've got the guy who played Alan Frog, did a good job too. he was Jameson Newlander did a good job as Alan Frog. Of course, you've also got Kiefer Sutherland, who's been in a lot of movies, including Mirrors. I believe this was around his first role. I do believe he did another role. He's also involved in that TV show 24, as well as the movie Phone Booth. But I do think this was probably his first movie, or one of his first movies, because in the interview, I think he said that this was the first movie that he had done that really got him really popular and got him noticed by other film companies and stuff like that. And Kiefer Sutherland in this movie did a good job. I get into the sequel before I get into this movie. I do not enjoy Kiefer Sutherland's. I don't know if it's his cousin, his nephew. I don't know if it's his cousin or his nephew or something. He's related to Kiefer Sutherland, Angus Sutherland in the sequel, which I hate Lost Boys to Tribe. Now, I love Lost Boys to Thirst. I think it's a great sequel, but I hate the second movie. I hate Lost Boys to Tribe. I think it's a crappy, garbage, boring, stupid, bad CGI, freaking terrible sequel. I can't say more hurtful things. I mean, I could, but it'd probably take the whole video. But the movie just, down to the bottom line, Lost Boys 2, in my opinion, freaking sucked. It was a lazy sequel, tried to copy the original, and it freaking sucked. But I think that Kiefer Sutherland is probably playing the best lead vampire in these movies. Of course, he sort of leads this gang. That's not this gang, but this group of teenager vampires, and they pretty much are going around this town called Santa Clara, I think. I think it's called Santa Clara. But basically, they're going around this town, and they're vampires. They bite people. Like this one at the beginning of the movie, they attack the security guard for making them get off this ride. And then pretty much you would get introduced to Corey Haim and Jason Patric. And of course, Jason Patric would go on to be in Speed 2 Cruise Control, which I heard a lot of bad things about. But he did a really good job in this movie, Jason Patric, as well as Corey Haim. Although I will mention something about Corey Haim's character that's a little odd in this film. But nonetheless, Corey Haim did a good job in this movie, acting-wise. Had a lot of funny moments in the movie. And of course, the mother Diane Weiss did a good job. And then you've also got the guy playing Max. I've not shown him on here. I think this is it's Edward Herman, who's been in a lot of movies as well. I believe he was in The Wolf of Wall Street. He was in Gilmore Girl. He was in The Aviator, and he's been in a couple movies. I've seen him in a couple movies, but you got him, and this movie was directed by Joel Schumacher, who had also done Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. Batman Forever I thought was actually honestly a guilty pleasure. I know people are like, what? But I actually thought Batman Forever was a fun sequel. It had a good atmosphere. Jim Carrey, Tommy Lee Jones having a good time. You got Val Kilmer in the movie. You got Nicole Kidman. I mean, it was a fun time for me, these Batman Forever. I mean, it was definitely a more goofy, different movie than Batman Returns of Batman. But Batman Forever, in my opinion, is a guilty pleasure. I actually thought it was a fun movie. But Batman and Robin, it is no excuse for that. But that movie freaking sucks. But, of course, Joel Schumacher has made a bunch of movies as well. The Client, 12, which I do think I've seen. No, I haven't seen 12. I'm thinking about that movie called 9 or something like that, or 9 Dead or something like that. Trespass, Blood Creek, which I also seen that as well. I actually enjoyed Blood Creek a little bit. It's 5.4 on IMDb, but I enjoyed Blood Creek. Thought it was actually a pretty decent horror film. I haven't seen it in forever, but I did think that it was pretty decent from what I remember, being a fun little, horror film. But, I would say this is probably his best movie. Even though I enjoy Batman Forever, in my opinion, I don't get why everybody hates that movie. Batman and Robin, I can definitely see why everybody hates that movie. But Batman Forever, honestly, I had a little bit of fun with it. I don't understand why everybody hates that movie, but I would say this is probably his best movie. And he did a good job of visuals and camera work and stuff like that. Joel Schumacher is a very visual director. The way that his movies look, especially the Batman movies, Batman and Robin for the bad, Batman Forever for the good though. The Batman Forever handled it well. Batman and Robin, like it was a freaking set design, like a freaking, you could tell like it had fake ice and the sets were not that well done. But in Batman Forever, in my opinion, the sets were a little bit better than Batman and Robin. But you know, Joel Schumacher did a good job shooting this movie. It has a great look to it. And basically, you know, Corey Haim and Jason Patric, they're pretty much new to this town, Santa Clara. They go there, and actually, this is one of those towns I want to move to because it's like a freaking awesome looking town. Because they're right by the beach, so you got a lot of parties going on the beach. They have, even at night, they have like music playing. Everybody's at the beach partying, and they got rides. They got roller coasters. They have like, you know, the one ride that spins around like this and makes you almost throw up, at least for me. But a lot of cool stuff. I mean, it's like a giant carnival, and it's right by where they live. I'm like, these guys are freaking lucky. I wish I lived in Santa Clara. I mean, you know, scratch the freaking vampires, but you know, it looks pretty fun. I mean, you know, you got a carnival rides everywhere. You got a beach. You got like a big beach by them, and there's a party going on the beach, and you know, and even the night, even when they go there, they're walking around. And it just seemed like a fun town to live in. I'm like, that's a cool place. And you know, when they move in there, they find out about this group of vampires because Michael ends up falling in love with a girl named Star, played by Jamie Gertz. And pretty much when he falls in love with her, he finds out that her boyfriend is Kiefer Sutherland. And he's pretty much playing the lead vampire in this group of vampires. And, you know, Jason Patric ends up getting invited into the group. You have that motorcycle scene with Lost in the Shadows. You know, they're driving in the motorcycles through this fog, and you know, really well shot scene where they're driving through the woods and driving through mist and fog, and that song's playing, and very, very awesome scene. And you got "Say Hello to the Night" as they're driving their motorcycles around, and then Jason Patric ends up going into the cave. Got that great scene where he goes to eat some rice and there's maggots, and then he goes, "There's maggots in here." Looks down, there's just rice again, and then he goes to eat some noodles and it turns into worms, and then you know, Kiefer Sutherland, he's like, "It's only noodles, Michael. It's only noodles." And it's a well done scene. And then pretty much Michael drinks the blood of Kiefer Sutherland, but doesn't know it and becomes a part of the vampire of the group of vampires. And at this time, you know, you got Corey Haim, Sam. His character's name is Sam. He's walking around the carnival, finds a comic book store, and you meet Corey Feldman and Jameson Newlander. Edgar and Alan Frog, the Frog Brothers, classic characters. Probably I would say my favorite characters from this movie because their chemistry together was just so funny, man. Like talking about they gave Edgar Frog sort of this Rambo Stallone voice, and it's hilarious, man. And you know, the Sam character meets Edgar and Alan Frog, and he's telling them about the Superman comic book. He's like, "You can't put this comic book right here next to number 5," and it's something like that. And he's like, "You can't put the comic book here when it should be over here." And then they're like, what are you talking about, buddy? And then they start talking, and Edgar and Alan Frog talking about the vampires and how Santa Clara is, you know, full of vampires, or at least those group of vampires, the Kiefer Sutherland's group of vampires. And they give him a comic book about killing vampires, and he goes, and then they go, "Pray, you never need to call us." He goes, "I'll pray, I'll never need to call you." And it's just a fun scene. And then pretty much Jason Patric there at that train scene where they're at the train tracks and they drop down, they hang below the train, and the train goes by, they fall down in the mist. And then basically you find out that Michael is sort of changing. He's sleeping all day, partying all night. That tagline says it all: sleep all day, party all night. It's fun to be a vampire. And pretty much, at night he's going out with the group of vampires, and same time you got Sam finding out that his brother Michael is a vampire, and he's like that funny scene where he's like, "Stay back, stay back," and then it's just hilarious, and then Sam even goes, "Wait till I let Mom know about this. You're in big trouble, Mister." And then he's flipping out, and then of course Sam tries to help his brother Michael, and he calls over Edgar and Alan Frog because they got to figure out who the lead vampire is. and they think that it's the Max character, but spoiler alert, it is. But Michael ends up inviting him to the house, so he doesn't. He's basically immune to holy water and garlic and stuff like that. So once Michael invited him into the house, all those stuff went out the door. Like now he's immune to all that stuff, and pretty much they think that Kiefer Sutherland's character is lead vampire. At the end of the film, they end up going to the cave, killing one of the vampires, and pretty much they go back to their house, and the Kiefer Sutherland and his vampires, his other group of vampires, they're gonna go back to the house, try to kill them. Same time, Sam and the Frog Brothers again holy water holy water squirt guns, and they're getting garlic and dumping inside the pool, dumping inside this tub, and they're getting basically the whole house ready to fight these vampires. And the vampires get there, and then there's a big fight. You got Michael fighting the David character. You got Michael fighting him. Michael ends up pushing him and impaling him and killing him. The other vampire had that death by stereo scene where Corey Haim takes a bow and arrow, shoots it through the vampire. He gets shot to death by a stereo. Very, very fun scene. And then the other vampire falls into a tub of garlic and holy water and melts pretty much. And then like the whole bathroom has blood spraying everywhere. It's a crazy scene. And then, David gets killed. You think it's all over with, but Michael is still a vampire. Star is still a vampire. That's when you find out that the twist is that Max is the lead vampire. And then the grandpa comes in. Because pretty much when Michael and Sam moved to Santa Clara, their grandpa is where they moved to. They moved to their grandpa's, and he comes in with a giant stake, sticks it through the Max character. The Max character falls into a furnace, and then pretty much the grandpa walks over to the fridge, gives like a pop out or something like that, and he goes, "You know what I hate about Santa Clara? All the dang vampires." And then the movie ends, and you're thinking, "Oh my gosh, the entire time." But the thing about the Corey Haim character is that he did a good job acting-wise, but his character was sort of a little bit, I don't know if I'd say gay, but he wore these weird clothes. Like he wore a freaking trench coat. His hair was like freaking totally 80s styled. All of his shirts were bright colors, and even has a poster in his room of a guy like I think it was like Rob Lowe or something like that. And he's like doing this, in a weird position, and I'm like, what the freak? But it's still Corey Haim did a good job acting in the movie, but that was sort of a weird part. I was like, what the freak? But still, did a good job in the movie. Corey Haim, rest in peace, did a good job. Good actor. He's been in License to Drive, and he was also in Silver Bullet, which I really enjoyed. Good actor, and rest in peace to Corey Haim. He's a good actor, and yeah, so rest in peace to Corey Haim. But did a good job in this movie as Sam. He did a phenomenal job. Corey Haim did a great job as Sam. Jason Patric did a good job as Michael. And Diane Weiss did a good job. Bernard Hughes played the grandpa. Edward Herman, Kiefer Sutherland. All these people. Corey Feldman, James and Newlander. Good cast. Did a good job. Good acting. Well shot, good music, great special effects, freaking awesome freaking soundtrack. And I want to get this for CD one day or something like that. I just want to get it. I want to get this soundtrack because it's really good. It's well shot, well directed by Joel Schumacher, and it's a really good movie. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching my review on The Lost Boys, and I will be reviewing Lost Boys 2, The Tribe, a little bit later on. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching my review on The Lost Boys, and I will see you guys for the next review. Bye, guys.